You ready to do this thing?
Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sweaty Casuals, brought to you by the Snowflake Sanctuary Discord server. This is the podcast where we usually talk about the games that we love to play, from the state of ranked systems to our thoughts on the newest sensations and everything in between. My name is Nox, in my cozy chair tonight, and along with my co-host Zach, we will be your guides as we traverse Elo Hell. As a small reminder, we do swear, so viewer discretion is advised. Today we're joined by my squishy bear and nobody else. As we're going to talk through mobile gaming and kind of our experience with it and anything that comes out of that conversation. So I'm kicking it to Zach for our icebreaker.
Yeah, because I thought of one.
Yeah.
And it's stupid and simple, but it'll work. So, what's your most played mobile game?
Of all time or recently? Both.
Ooh, let's start with all time.
All time, it's Candy Crush.
Candy Crush?
Hands down, bar none.
It's a good one.
I don't want to know how much money I put into that game. An embarrassing amount.
Oh, yeah, putting money into a mobile game is always the scary part.
I have this belief that I don't mind putting money into the games that I like to play. And I am a big, I love playing little games on my phone. So,
For
if
sure.
it's going to provide me some amount of entertainment for a given time, if I can quantify that in a cost, I don't mind putting it in. I'm never the person that's buying, the $70 mega packs, all the coins and all the things.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, hey, on Candy Crush, you didn't pass this level. For $5, we'll give you 5 extra moves and all of these things. And I'm like, I've been trying to pass this level through 3 days. So maybe it's worth the $5. And I have. I've made it worth the $5 before.
So then what's your most recently played game? Right
Hearthstone.
Hearthstone.
Once I figured out that I could play Hearthstone on my phone or on my iPad, it was game over. Shit's bad for my health. Because I'm so knee deep in that game that it'll be like
You've
11.
Been playing a lot.
It'll be like 11:30 at night. And I'll be like, it's probably time for bed.
Yeah, you've
So
been playing
okay, good night, Discord friends. I'll see you guys later. And then I grab my little iPad and I crawl into bed.
Just turn over and just...
Yes. And then I play for another 2 hours. But I have to be strategic. If we're playing Hearthstone together and I go to bed and I continue to play more Hearthstone, I have to go on Battle.net and put myself as a peer offline. So no one feels like I'm slighting them.
I was just sick of all of you. I just wanted to play Hearthstone alone.
Because I made that mistake once where I didn't go offline and I immediately got messages from you and from Bandito that say, oh, I know how it is. Jesus Christ.
I think so. I remember that. And I specifically did it because you said, I'm really exhausted. I need to go to bed.
Because I was. And I was in bed. I was just playing Hearthstone.
And not 2 minutes later, I got the little notification. Nox is in the battlegrounds. Huh.
Yeah. I gotta grind. I almost made an A leaderboard last season, okay? Gotta grind.
Yeah.
Not that that's a huge achievement, but top
no, but there's always
in NA.
Hey, there's always something.
8K is when you're considered good at the game. So I almost got there. Almost good at the game.
Getting there.
Yeah.
You're what, 7,200?
Yeah, I peaked about 72.5. And then I dropped down to 63. That's where I finished. And then new season started today, so back to 0. But I climbed to 1K this afternoon. So.
Anyway. My answer for both of those is exactly the same game. It's Pokemon Go. I've put too much money in that game. I don't want to think about it. It's in the hundreds. I know that. But I got a lot out of that game. And I think that one's kind of a weird case because there are social elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so Paradox, who's on the show a lot, is somebody who he and I have made time and been we're going to go out and play.
100%.
And we've got a whole separate Discord server that we're in that coordinates stuff for that game.
I have a coworker who is also very into Pokemon Go. And he even has the point where he has a auto catcher It's like
I
a little
have one.
Pokeball puck.
I don't have it set up.
It's very funny when we're at work and we can hear it vibrating, and we're like, ah, he's just out here catching Pokemon.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
especially because with your position, I'm sure there's lots of Pokestops around.
he runs all the gyms.
Yeah.
Or at least he claims. But yeah,
It's not an easy
no.
thing.
Pokemon Go, I played for like 2 weeks when it came out, but I'm also not the biggest Pokemon person yet.
Yeah. Give us time.
So yeah, but I remember it being
Pokemon Go.
fun.
Pokemon Go is such a weird one because it had that when it came out, like that first like 2 week period, 3 week period when it first came out. It was like world peace happened.
Everyone
But
was
like
walking.
actually, everybody was walking, everybody was out and about, everybody wanted to play this game, everybody wanted to experience it with everyone else. It was bizarre as all hell. And it was awesome because people were just helping each other out. There was this wonderful little story of like there's this young girl in France who was playing the game and saw something nearby and wanted to go catch it but couldn't because it was behind a big fence. It was some sort of guarded area. And a policeman like came up to her and was like, "Hey, what are you doing over here?" And she was like, "Oh, I wanted to catch the Pokemon, but clearly I can't go over there." And he's like, "Can I see your phone for a second?" And he took it and went and caught it and came back and just handed it to her.
Adorable.
Like
So
just
cute.
there were so many wonderful things that happened with that like 2 or 3 week period, and then we all went back to the usual.
But it still seems like it has a pretty dedicated fan base. Like,
Last I checked, which granted it's been probably about 2 years, it is still the most profitable mobile game.
I bet. The amount of money you
Like
could sink into
hands
that, I
down.
could imagine.
It's actually stupid. Actually, as of recording this, Pokemon Go World Championship just took place last week.
How is it competitive?
They have added a lot since the game
Huh.
launched. So
I
they
just
added,
remember they go collect Pokemon because you're walking and you're gonna go to gyms. Like
yeah.
that's what it was.
I think one of the things that they did that was really right with that game, because I do have a lot of gripes with it, and it's one of the reasons why I don't play it nearly as much as I used to, was they did understand like when the game launched, there were things in it that were interesting and fun, but in terms of actual like things you could do, like there was actually kind of limited.
Hmm.
Like they only introduced the first 100. It was only supposed to be the first 151 Pokemon, but they were missing 5. So you couldn't even complete the first Pokedex. But then they kind of said, okay, well, now we're going to add raids. And there's a whole raiding mechanic. So you go out and you find a raid, and then you can catch legendaries. And that introduced a way to catch 4 of those. And then they were like, oh, now we're going to do special research. Oh, well, now you have to go do these specific things in order to catch your first Mew. And then they were like, well, let's do regular research. So now you have to go do like specific tasks throughout your day. And they're just kind of like little incentives to be like, hey, go do this thing and we'll give you a little prize. And then they added battling between players, and then they added battling between AI, and they've got all sorts of different raids that you can do now. I'm trying to think, I feel like I'm missing one other big thing. The only thing that really, like, one of the biggest things that gets to me about Pokemon Go at this stage is that Niantic, the company who makes it, still thinks of themselves as an AR company.
Yeah, because that was like the cool thing about it was like when you caught them, it put them in the world around you.
Right, and it was a big feature when the game came out. I'm not going to
100%.
argue against that fact, but when you look at the player base, what it was when it came out versus what it is now, people now don't care about the AR features.
No, I don't think I've seen anyone use the AR features on it. Like when I watch my coworker play it, it's just a background.
Everybody I know turns it off because if you want to play the rest of the game, the AR features actually hurt your ability to do that.
Huh.
And some of it's just simple things. It's like if you want to throw a Pokeball, if you have the arrow feature turned off, the Pokemon starts in the middle, and then it can move like up or to the left and right. That's it. If you're using your camera, you're trying to keep your phone steady while you're throwing the little ball, and you're just more likely to use more resources.
Means you'll spend more money.
Yeah, but you can turn it off. So, and they have to keep that there because some people can't use the arrow features.
100%. But no, that's a big one. I know a lot of people still play that one. I'm trying to think of other like massive mobile games. Before we started the episode, we talked a lot about Trivia Crack
Yep.
and how
Yeah.
massive that was. I think
That
about
one was a weird one.
I think about all the Facebook games that ever existed.
Those ones were weird because they weren't mobile for a long time.
I guess that's true because Facebook wasn't always a mobile app. Facebook was a website.
I'm trying to think. I got my first smartphone 2 years? 2 years after I got a Facebook. And it was definitely like when I first got Facebook was when like Facebook gaming tried to make it itself a thing.
I was a little bit behind you. I think my Facebook was created in 2015. I think is when mine was made. Yeah, I would have been about 15 years old.
My boss is asking me how much I weigh, and it's actually mildly important. Random question of the day. I know that just like totally threw a loop in the whole conversation. Yeah. So part of my work right now involves helicopters. And helicopters are very, very particular about like how much weight can we put in.
I was also trying to think of a funny little joke. And the only thing I could come up with, which I didn't think would land, was she should know never to ask a lady her weight. And I didn't know how that would land, so I didn't use it.
Me, little me?
That's what I'm saying.
No, you would have been fine. Anyway, mobile gaming. No, if I think back though, when I think like early mobile gaming, you're before like the iPod Touch generation, aren't you?
I was the beginning. Like I had an iPod. That was the first like smart device I owned.
Okay.
I would have had an iPod Touch for a couple of years before I got an iPhone. So let me put it on. Would 2011 be about the time? 2012? When did those
I think it would have been
come out?
a little earlier. No, I want to say they came out.
I had a blue one.
Like 2005?
2007 was the first one.
Okay, yeah. I have a first gen actually sitting at home.
Touch.
Which, fun fact, isn't mine. I don't know how I inherited it. I know whose it is. I just don't know how it got from them to me.
My first iPod Touch was the blue one. And it released in October of 2012, which I would have been about 12 years old. That would have made sense.
Every time we bring up age on this show, it hurts me a little bit.
Because I had an iPod Touch in 2012 for a couple of years, and then that was right before iPhone 6S came out, and that's the first one I had. It was whatever had the fingerprint scanner was the first iPhone I had.
My first was a 3G.
Yeah.
Not the 3GS. I wasn't cool enough for that. And by not cool enough, I mean my parents didn't want to spend that kind of money on me.
When iPhones came out and smartphones became a thing, I was the first and only person in my family for a while to have a smartphone. So convincing. I remember having like a whole PowerPoint as to why I needed the 6S over anything else, and I got it for Christmas.
Mine was really
and then racked up my data plan on them for a year because 2 gigs. I only had 2 gigs a month. That's not a lot of gigs.
It's not a lot of gigs, but if you use it somewhat smartly, it's plenty enough.
They used to get
At
mad
least
at me
in
because I
that
would
age.
be I would be at swim meets with no Wi-Fi, and I would watch YouTube.
Yeah, see, that's not a good one.
Instantly done.
Yeah. I remember the argument. I didn't have to make an argument for my first iPhone. My mother and my ex stepfather came and were like, "Hey, you're gonna need a new phone, and we need new phones, so we're gonna get iPhones." And I said, "Okay, can I have one?" And they looked at me and they looked at what I had. I had a flip phone, and that flip phone was 7 years old at that time. It had been my ex uncle's. No, sorry, it was my ex grandfather's. Then it became my ex uncle's. Then it went to me and my sister. Then it went back to my ex uncle. Then I got it. So by the time I first had it, it was already 5 years old. And I was still using it, and it was still good after 2 years. So they kind of looked at me and looked at the phone. They're like, "Yeah, you probably won't break it." The day before I got my iPhone, I left it outside.
Did it rain?
It did rain.
Good shit. Hey, good timing.
It was really and it but like and the only thing I think that was wrong with it, I don't think actually that much water got in it. I just think it got into the battery contacts. I think if the battery got replaced, it might have been okay. But it was just like this whole comedy of errors where they suddenly got very nervous about getting me this iPhone.
Yeah. And iPhones back then were fragile.
They were. I smashed the screen. I didn't actually say that. I didn't smash the screen. My friend smashed the screen.
The riskiest point of my life, there was for whatever goddamn reason I had when I was 17 years old. I
Mhm.
act like that was a decade ago. It almost was. We're almost okay. Um,
Yeah, it's not quite there yet. You got a few more years.
Crazy. Um, I decided to rock my iPhone without a case for like 5 months. Why? I didn't like my case anymore and I didn't have any money. Uh, Somehow got through most of that, like very minor. And that was when they were starting to get a little bit better because that would have been around the like 8, but the 8 was such a bad one. Or was it 7? One of those was awful.
Oh, I'm not gonna remember which.
Awful phone. Bad in battery life, bad in performance, bad in everything. I only had that one for like the 2-year period and dumped it
Mhm.
and got another one. But that one I rocked without a case for a while and it did pretty well, but those things you drop them the wrong way. I mean, mine right now, so I've had this one for almost 4 years, I think. 12 Max,
Mhm.
Pro Max. This thing, I to this like where I'm coming up on like another one of those cycles, where it's like, oh, it's time you could get a new one. I would keep it again, to be so honest. The only thing that happened is in the last few weeks, I don't know if you can kind of see it, this lens is gone.
Ooh.
I somehow dropped it where it only hit this lens, it cracked, and now the entire lens is out of it.
Oh,
So
that's not great.
it actually doesn't affect much until I need a picture really close up, and then all the lenses can't figure out what's going on because the one doesn't have the front. So like the top of the picture is completely clear and the bottom is super out of focus. But so I'll probably upgrade this year because that happened. But like
Mhm.
I haven't had a screen protector on this thing. Now we're just talking about phones. But anyway, I haven't had a screen protector on this thing. Just a nice little case that hasn't come off its entire life, and we're vibing.
I think the last thing I'll mention on phones was I'm an OtterBox fan, or was. I have one on this phone. I'm not happy with this one because this is a year and a half old and it's already breaking. Um, but the original OtterBox was awesome. It was a tank.
I
That was
have
like
so I'm currently on duty for my job. This has an OtterBox on it. Couldn't tell you
Hmm.
how long this one's been on here, but this thing, I could throw it at a wall.
And the newer ones are not as good as the older ones, but they're still like decent. They're not great, but they're decent.
Yeah.
The older ones were awesome because it was like, oh, I chucked this at something and it's fine. And
The old ones used to be so clunky though.
they
They were
were real
ugly.
clunky. That was the one thing, is they were chunky. And my parents were like, you have to get an OtterBox. And I think they convinced me. They didn't. I was just like, fine, sure.
Well, and some of the OtterBoxes used to come with like a screen protector that would be on the
Hmm.
case too, which made using it awful.
It was okay.
I hated it.
The one
But
thing with it was you needed to like basically as soon as you open it, you put the phone in. You don't wait.
yeah,
You don't give it any time to get anything else in between it. You just immediately just
the ones I'm thinking about must be real old though, because it was almost like it just like it didn't stick to it. Like it was almost like a
it
second
didn't
skin.
no, it didn't stick, but it was like if any even a little bit of dust got in there, that was when it became problematic.
Yeah. Either way. But
But
yeah,
my fun story with that was we all ended up with OtterBoxes. So I had a black one. My ex stepfather had a black one, and then my mother got a bright pink one. And that was
styling.
back in the yeah, yeah. But that was in the age of like every year you got a new phone upgrade.
Yep.
So when my mom decided to get a phone upgrade, and she didn't need her OtterBox anymore because she went to an iPhone, I think it was like a 4 or 4S. This pink OtterBox was just sitting there, and I was like, I can rock pink. So I think I put the black. I used the pink shell, and then I put the black grip over it, so it just had
That's
like
kind of
hints of pink
sick.
over it. It was actually it was a pretty sick thing, and I was pretty comfy rocking that, especially
That's
because
pretty
nobody
sick.
else had that.
Right, because it was almost customized,
Yeah.
essentially.
Anyway, the whole point of like why we tangented on iPhones for a while there.
Yeah.
Uh, um, I remember iPod Touch. I didn't get one, but one of my friends had one, and I've actually inherited that device somehow. But one of the games that was like ridiculously popular, and I never understood it. I still don't. Was Temple Run,
I loved Temple Run. I was good
and
at
like
that game.
I get that it was a fun game, but
For the youngins listening, probably playing Subway Surfers while we're on in the background, it was Subway Surfers before Subway Surfers was Subway Surfers.
yeah, yeah. I think the other one to mention though from that era, because this is like a weird one because like the whole genre just died, was Tap Tap Revenge.
I don't think I ever played that one.
Okay, so imagine Guitar Hero,
Oh, I'd
but it's on your
imagine.
phone.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome, and some of it was genuinely difficult, which
Mhm.
added to it. I remember going back at one point because I was trying to like just find it again. It's gone. It's been gone for years now. Like it got delisted off the App Store. God, when I was in college, so 10 years ago. But I was able to find this really great clone of it where anybody could go in and be like, "Hey, I'm going to make my own map for a song." And they had their whole database where you could go download other people's maps, and
That's kinda sick.
it plugged into your iTunes, so you could be like, "Yeah, I own this song and they own this song, so I make a map and it syncs up with theirs." And oh, it was actually pretty awesome. I
Damn, y'all
really
still
really
use
enjoyed that one.
iTunes?
Look, listen, I don't use iTunes anymore. Um,
It's like, does iTunes even exist? It's just Apple Music now.
it is Apple Music now.
I don't even think iTunes exists. I'm a Spotify girly through and through.
I
Me and my
use the Spotty.
130 playlists.
I do not have nearly that many. The one thing is, so like we've talked on the show about how I work in film, and sometimes it's really nice to not just be like, "Hey, I like this song, so I'd like to listen to it," which like it is nice. So like some of the places I have to go around here, I don't have cell service. It's nice to just still be able to listen to music. But if you have Apple Music and you actually buy the song, it gives you the raw file. You can go stick it in an editing program.
which is fair.
Mm. So I
All
still
I
like
need is
owning
my
some
little
music.
Spotify, and then the very few times that I'm offline, so I think of, like, plane rides,
Mhm.
I have downloaded stuff. Like, my liked songs category is completely downloaded. So, I have that 10 hours of music ready to roll, but I understand the, like, added, "Oh, I get this now."
Mhm.
I mean, I even think back to, gosh, when DMCA wasn't a thing, and
Oh,
YouTube
that was a
had
lawless time.
oh my god, all of my music was pirated. All of it.
Everybody's was that. Okay,
I would sit in the
there
back of
was that,
my
but
high
then
school
before that, there
classes,
was LimeWire.
and I didn't know LimeWire, but I did know, YouTube to MP3.com.
Yeah.
I would sit in the back of my high school classes and plug in YouTube links to that and download MP3 files, download the cover art for that, and throw it on my iPod because I thought it was really edgy. Like, you remember iPod Nanos with, like, the little
Yeah.
screen?
Yeah.
They were not I was a little too old for those, for the use of them, I should say. Because they were marketed a lot towards I remember my mom had one and would have new ones all the time because she was a runner.
Mhm.
So a lot it was, very much geared towards working out and, like, all of that or work if you have jobs that you can listen to music. Um, at least that's from my perception, that was what it was really for. Not for six-year-old me who just needed my little boombox and my High School Musical CD, 'cause that's all I had, all I needed. But
Together.
oh, yeah. Um, but when I was in high school, I thought it was, like, cool to have one because I was trying to find myself. And
Did you find her?
not in high school, but, um, I had a blue iPod I liked blue apparently, uh, iPod Nano, and it would only hook up in my car, so it was a
Mhm.
glorified, like it was just hooked up an aux, and back when aux was a thing and I didn't have my oh god, what would I do without Apple CarPlay? Oh, it's so nice. But I would hook it up and I still remember, like, some of the songs I had on that playlist, I still vividly remember having Car Radio by 21 Pilots,
Mhm.
stripped from the internet. House of Gold, stripped from the internet, also 21 Pilots. Um, that's all I
But we
remember
pay for them
listening.
now. We pay for all of them now.
Yep, 100%, bought that album. Bought both of those albums. Um, and I pay for Spotify now, totally legal.
Yeah.
And I have them all, but yeah, everything was I did not pay for a lot of music back then. Oh my god, the craziest thing sorry, we're gonna tangent one more time. This is even, like, not sketchier, I can't think of the word, like, way earlier than high school, back when I was, like, in end of my elementary school days, beginning of my middle school days, and my friend told me, she's like, "I have this hack for getting music on your phone," and I was like and or it was our iPod Touches at the time, and I was like, "Okay, I'm in." She goes, "I just listen to the radio in the morning, and then I go in my voice memos and I record them." I had a library in my voice memos on my iPod Touch. Vividly remember me and my sister sitting around the boombox in the morning, listening to the local radio station and recording songs and
Mhm.
telling her, "You have to be quiet because it's gonna record you." What a time.
An update for those curious. I will not be on a helicopter tomorrow. Apparently, the propane tanks are more important. Um,
Damn. Too
yeah, well,
heavy.
that's how it goes.
But
It's not even that. If I recall, so propane and gasoline, if it's on the helicopter, nobody else can
mhm.
go on, basically.
Well, it's flammable, highly, so probably a
Yeah.
safety thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, my iPod Touch days, that's when I became a mobile game girly. I played 2048. I played Temple Run. I played Doodle Jump. I played all the things. I was very good at Flappy Bird before it got taken off the The
Oh God,
the
Flappy Bird.
store.
That one was insanity.
But it's also when my love for Candy Crush began.
I think
That
it's absolutely hysterical how that game came out, exploded. Everybody went, "Wow, this is amazing!" How much money did that game end up making, or how many
I have
downloads?
no idea because it was free
It
and
was
there was
absolutely
no
ludicrous.
like in-app purchases. So it had to have been advertiser
Yeah, and then the
revenue.
guy like decided he wanted to shut it down, which, from my understanding, like everything I heard about it, like seemed like he was just like, I didn't want this. This was not what I was expecting. I want to walk away.
Yep.
And the game is still living on.
Yeah, there's like you can still buy. I don't know if it's a big thing anymore. For a while you could
Flappy
buy.
Mercy.
Yep. But you could like phones on eBay would go for so much because it was like it still has
It
Flappy Bird
still
on
had Flappy
it.
Bird on it. No, and then there's it's an Easter egg in other games now. Goat Simulator. I think like every version of that now has a version of Flappy Bird in it in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm. Yeah, it was crazy. I
Actually,
vividly remember that. I was a freshman in high school too.
the first Goat Simulator, I know there's an achievement for getting a score of 20
That's awesome.
on Flappy Bird in the game.
That's funny. But yeah, no, and I've always been the person that I think I've used it as a coping mechanism to be so real. Mobile games, like when I don't want to think about what's going on around me, I can just
Mm-hmm.
get into a game and not think about it. So Candy Crush has always been a good time waster. Um, 2048 has always been a good time waster. I'm trying to think. I like little puzzles too. Puzzles are my
Mm-hmm.
favorite. You ever played
I
Nonogram?
no.
Those are fun ones. They give you a grid essentially, and then each column and row has a set of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the harder ones are like a 15 by 15. I'll actually do a 5 by 5 grid is like an easy one. And if it has the number 5, it means all 5 of them are filled. But if it has the number 1 and then there's a space and there's another one, that means that there is one block filled and there is at least one block of white space before the next black block. So
So it's
it's
like
filling.
Minesweeper.
I didn't play Minesweeper. I never
Okay,
understood it. I would open it up on my school computers growing up and I would go, I don't know how this game works. And I'd
we're gonna
die.
have to sit down and play Minesweeper with you at some point. We're gonna have
But
to do that.
sure. It's very much like it's a puzzle. It usually makes a picture. Super fun. I would sit and play those for hours because I like little puzzles. I'm trying to think what else I have on my phone. I'm a
I was
big
gonna
fan of
say
New
like
York Times games. I love those
those are. I
puzzles.
would say those are probably like some of the only ones that I can think of that have been popular
And I pay
post
for those
Pokemon Go.
bitches. I pay my $4 a
Do you?
week. I do.
Hmm.
Because now I get the Wordle backlog. I can play every Wordle that's ever happened.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can play
that
every
I can see that.
crossword that's ever happened. I can play every mini crossword that's ever happened. My mini crosswords, I'm pretty sure I'm back into like 2022. And I've completed all of them since then. Let me find out.
I'm trying to think
Um,
though, like other than Wordle and the rest of the New York Times games, what other mobile games have come out in like post? What would that
I
be like
lied.
post 2016?
2021. I've completed every mini crossword that the New York Times has to offer since July of 2021.
You know, casually.
They're fun. It's big mobile games that have come out.
Since like 2016, 2017.
Candy Crush makes a new edition every few years. I would say
Yeah,
that
but like
maybe, but nothing beats the original.
yeah, and then it'd be the same thing with Angry Birds. Like
Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot about Angry Birds. I used to love that shit.
the first one was super fun. It was super exciting, especially because like it was the type of thing where nobody had done a control scheme like that before,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually took advantage of having a touchscreen.
Yeah, 100%.
God, I remember I tried. There was an FPS game I got on my first iPhone. It was super fun to play,
Mm-hmm.
but the controls were awful because it was basically trying to like emulate like having joysticks on your touchscreen,
Mm-hmm.
but then you had to press a whole bunch of other places of the
Mm-hmm.
screen in order to do everything.
I would say, maybe this was a personal experience. Chess.com making an app was pretty big for a
Oh, I didn't know
while
they did an
there.
app. Good on them.
Yeah, I paid for that for a while, a subscription to chess because I was playing that so much.
Hmm.
Um, 2048 was a big one, but that one's old too.
That one's an old one. That was 2012.
Yeah, I'm really good at that game.
That's a fun one.
I don't know.
It's a
I have a lot
good way
of
to kill a couple minutes.
yeah, I have a lot of like word games from like that 2016 to 2018 era. So like word cookies, wordscapes. Basically, here's 5 letters. How many words can you make with them to fill a puzzle?
Yeah,
And then I have a lot of I love playing bingo. Bingo on my phone is my favorite.
I love Sudoku. I love Solitaire.
I also
Anytime I'm
have
on a plane, I'm
Sudoku
playing one of them.
games. Yep. Oh, there was a fun. I mean, it's one of those things that I feel like nobody has broken the mold of mobile games in a while. Like any
No.
new one that's coming out is just a replica of something else. Like
Yeah.
all of the crazy mobile apps for I'm trying to think of like homescapes. Like have you seen those crazy ones? You
I
definitely
get all the
have.
stupid ads, and I'm just like,
Yeah. And
I
you know
don't
what it is?
care.
It's Candy Crush. It's all Candy Crush. And if you've seen Project Makeover, it's always the like ugly girl getting stood up by the hot guy and then she goes and gets a makeover. That game presents as like this makeover game. It's Candy Crush.
Hmm.
It's all Candy Crush. Or it's all a version of 2048. I have this game on my phone called Cantaloupe. And
I can
it's
think of two.
popping little balls to make
I
bigger
can think
ones.
of two, but I don't play them. Clash of Clans, which is an older
Yeah.
game, but they're still coming out with content,
Yep.
which good on them.
This
Um,
video is brought to you by Rage
Raid
Shadow
Shadowlands.
Legends. Okay, we're not actually
Not
brought to
actually
you by,
sponsored.
by
We're
Rage
not.
Shadow Legends.
If you guys want it
I'm into
though.
mobile games. Come find us. I'll play.
Yeah, I would give it a shot. Yeah, that's one that I don't know enough about it to say anything really. The one
I
thing I
didn't
will
get
say
into
is
those,
your
no.
advertising may be a little oversaturated.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, I think of I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones and a lot of House of the Dragon, and they have their
Hmm.
own mobile game now. I'm fairly certain it's just Clash of Clans, but I don't know enough to make an
Hmm.
100% judgment on that. I downloaded the game because I was like, I'll try it. I like this show. I opened it up. There were immediately like 10 alerts on screen and 10 things going on in the background, and I went, mm-mm,
Hmm.
too much. I need my simple shapes and my simple colors.
Yeah,
But I think there are I could see where the mobile market is also now trying to keep up with what is going on like PC and Xbox and PlayStation to the point where they think they need to make everything a lot because a lot
I think
seems to work.
I was gonna say I think the things that have killed mobile gaming are the not just prevalence but the oversaturation of
100%.
microtransactions.
100%.
Because like Candy Crush, it's what you get 3 lives, and then you get
5
1 life. You get 5 lives, but then it
every
takes an
25
hour to get.
minutes.
Is it every 25 minutes? It used to be. I think it was used to be an hour.
Or you change your time on your phone.
Yep. But the point being that like they really tried to push, hey, if you want to actually just play the game, you need to spend money. And it, it caused you to either go, okay, I'm actually going to open up my wallet, at which point you've opened a door that you're never going to close. Or, well, I'm not spending money on this, so I'm just going to close the game. And at some point, you close the game and never open it again.
Or you change the time on your phone. That's what I
Yeah,
always
but
do.
that's a lot of effort.
You get good at the like, you know where to click. Get really fast at it. It's like when you get really good at time traveling in Animal Crossing.
Or you
Muscle
get really
memory.
confused and then you actually look at your phone and go, what time is it? Oh, wait.
Oh yeah, when people would text me when I was playing Candy Crush, that shit would get messed up. I would
Hmm.
miss texts, I would miss things because my phone wouldn't know what the hell's going on. It's fine.
It's fine. It's all fine.
Yeah, when I got this phone, or like the last time I downloaded Candy Crush, I reset my progress. Because the other thing that's frustrating about Candy Crush is when I go with a couple years without playing it and I come back, I don't know the mechanics of like level 4,000 anymore
Yeah.
because it gets so long. You get so into
Hmm.
it. There's so many things and strategies, and you lose it. And so I reset my progress. I don't know what I'm at anymore. Let me open the app. It's gonna
I
give
was
me
gonna.
like 10 things like, oh, welcome back.
The other thing though,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
has actually hurt mobile gaming so much though is actually mobile advertising.
Yep.
I get so many ads on TikTok, for example, of mobile
Every other
games.
video.
And I know that they're all a scam. I don't want to play any of them because I assume that the gameplay doesn't actually have anything to do with what I just watched.
Have you gotten the millions upon millions of ads about people playing solitaire cash?
No,
Oh my god, how do you not get that one? Every third
because
video is
everything's
someone,
personalized.
but I don't play that much solitaire. You do.
I do, but I already have one that has like apps and stuff that it recommends from their other parties.
It every third video, and I don't know why I keep getting them. I scroll past them every single time. But it is these real people, like they're not like bad gameplay things that I'm getting shown. It is real people who are paid to say that they won $100,000 on this app or they can go get an extra cup of coffee every week because they play this app. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my god, I didn't even think about that game. Oh, what game was that? Oh, I used to put a lot of money into bingo to the point where I was actually trying to win money. Newsflash, I never came
Don't
out
do that.
positive.
It's gambling.
I might have had a minor microtransaction gambling addiction at one point. It's fine.
We should do a whole conversation on loot boxes at some point.
See, and I don't I think I bought one set of loot boxes in Overwatch this time.
See, it's always funny because so Pokemon Go, I don't think of it as a loot box game. It absolutely is.
Mhm.
You know, the things that you spend money on, like some of them are actually things that I don't mind spending money on. So
Right.
I don't mind buying more storage to be able to have more Pokemon or to be
Right.
able to store more items. Those are like one-time purchases that I make and then I have and
Mhm.
I can continue to use within the game. Buying raid passes though, when I'm like, man, I want to go catch a shiny. So for legendary raids, it's a 1 in 20 chance. I am spending real world money to do a 1 in 20 chance of getting the thing that I want.
It's a loot box.
It's absolutely a loot box. And you can make the argument it isn't because you can earn that currency through playing the game, but it would take a long time.
Right. But it's the same thing with Overwatch. You could keep earning loot boxes, but it would take a long time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that was one of the things that Overwatch did right because you could get that little bit of currency back if you got a duplicate.
Mhm.
So
100%.
you could, if you turned around and said, actually, I just want to get this, you could just be like, yoink, that's mine.
I bought loot boxes once when I played Overwatch, and it was for I still remember exactly what I was trying to roll. I wanted this would have been Halloween event, like 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the Dragon Symmetra skin. So
Okay, yeah.
I bought 50 loot boxes. I got it. I sure fucking got it.
I hope so. How much was 50 loot boxes?
I don't wanna know. I was 17. I probably had a little extra spending money and didn't understand how much money I was actually spending on a fucking game. All I wanted was that skin. And I got it, and I have it. I still have it. I still rock that shit.
Yeah. No, I do think that there's there's an argument to be made. So like one of the things with Pokemon Go, like as much money as I've put into it and I don't want to really think about, I've gotten great experiences out of that. I have met people from playing that game. I have enjoyed playing it, and there is some amount of things that you can push forward with it. You can actually transfer stuff into the main series now, which is awesome.
Nice.
So and when you look at the like, yeah, I went and spent, so like usually when I bought a pack, I'd be like, I'm dropping $40 on coin this game.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm spending money on this game. I can think of it that way, and that's going to be awful. Or I can be like, I am putting $40 towards a game that I enjoy to
Right.
enjoy an experience with others that I like and to support the developers.
Right.
And that made it feel not good, but
But
at least a
better.
little better.
Yeah. Yeah, and that goes back to one of my first points that I made. I don't think gambling is a healthy thing to do with microtransactions. I will say that. But
Agreed.
I think that putting money into a game that you spend time on and play, I mean, fuck, we buy battle passes
Yep.
every 3 months for games that we play online. Like, what's the difference of like buying a microtransaction every once in a while because you really want to beat a level or because you really want this thing in the mobile game that you play? Because I promise you anything, if you were to look at my Hearthstone hours recently, 80% of it is mobile and 20% of it is actually sitting at my desk. Like, that's a game that I'm willing to put money into. Not that there's anything different mobile-wise, it's just the game ported onto Apple,
Yeah.
onto iOS. So there's nothing. I spend my $15 every season and I get my battle pass and I roll and I don't need to buy anything else for that game. But if there were things for the mobile experience, I would probably put money into it because of how much I spend, how much time I spend playing it. Like, it's worth the experience to me.
I think if I wanted to try and wrap up our conversation,
Mm-hmm.
I think mobile gaming is very different than it was,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see it going back anytime soon. But I do hope that there's clever developers who find a way to market good games,
Mm-hmm.
as in fun to play. Doesn't necessarily mean they need to be a masterpiece. And do it in such a way that doesn't feel exploitative of people.
Yeah, and can we stop making pocket editions of games, other games? They're always bad. Pocket Sims
Uh,
is bad. Pocket Minecraft is bad.
I was gonna say Pocket Minecraft is okay.
What else did I think of? Pocket
It's based on
Pocket
Bedrock
Animal.
now.
Oh, well, maybe it's not awful then. Pocket Animal Crossing was terrible. Get someone have an original idea, please.
Yeah, it's a touch screen.
Yeah,
Think of
there's a
some
lot you
really
can
creative
do.
control you can do.
Yeah, but I would also like. I know there's that debate over is playing games like Candy Crush and other mobile games actually gaming, and I would say yeah.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is.
It's just a different mode.
Look, Peggle is a huge game on the Xbox. Okay.
If Banana is a game that is considered a game, you're gaming when you're playing Banana from Steam. Is I'm sitting there playing my Candy Crush puzzles and being strategic or solving my little puzzles. It's a game. I'm gaming. It's all a mode.
Absolutely. Let's wrap it up with a quick little real world.
Yeah.
This is where we usually talk about things that are going on in our lives that are not related to gaming. Sometimes it's about gaming, but usually it's things going on otherwise. Songs we're listening to, movies we're watching, TV shows we're watching, books we're reading, other things just going on in our life. What do you got, Nox?
I have not read a book in 3 weeks. It's been a long 3 weeks. But I did take a moment during those long 3 weeks to go see Childish Gambino.
Oh, nice.
Which it's probably his last tour ever.
Probably. Well, we'll see.
Uh
At least for the foreseeable future, yeah.
Correct. Did you know he's 40?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't know he was that old. But
Community is what? 15 years old?
Well, and yeah, and I should have known that. I didn't grow up with Community. That's something I've watched, like,
I didn't. I mean, and
very
I didn't watch it when it was coming out, but
yeah.
I was aware of it.
I I very much, like, watch it with people for the nostalgia for others at this point. Like, I
Gee, I
never
wonder
got
who.
into it.
Um,
I do wanna watch it now. I do
it's a
enjoy
great show.
Donald Glover as a person. Um, and I've always been a real big fan of his work and what he's put out. But me and my boyfriend and then my coworker went down to see Childish Gambino on I think it was last Wednesday in Milwaukee.
Mhm.
And the thing about Childish Gambino's music is I wouldn't consider myself a like mega fan. I've never disliked anything I've heard from him, but has never been I would consider one of my top artists. But it was one of those bucket list concerts. It's like a Hozier. Like when you get the opportunity to go, you go
Yeah,
because you get to go see this person that is excellent at their craft be excellent at their craft, even if
yeah.
you don't know every single word. I did get to see Willow Smith open for him, which Willow Smith, I had very mixed feelings about her set just because it didn't make sense. She's an incredibly talented individual. She can sing like her live is really, really good. Music in the set didn't really make sense. It was a weird vibe, but she is wonderful. That was kind of
That
fun. I do
happens.
like some of her like not old stuff, like not whip my hair old stuff, but like before TikTok blew up, old
Yep.
stuff. So that was really fun to see her. And then Donald Glover performed, and I didn't know what I was gonna get. I was hoping I would hear at least at Lithonia, his new song. I figured that would be encore, and it was, which was really cool. We opened the show, a lot of songs that I didn't know, but it was still a party. He's got this whole performance, a lot of lasers, a lot of stuff going on. He's amazing. He's really energetic. It was super fun having a party. And then we get to the middle of the concert, and he's like, I don't think y'all are real Childish Gambino fans. And then for 45 minutes, he went through the classics. I got to hear Bonfire. I got to hear the one that I was most excited about, I don't think I've been more excited actually, I have been at a concert, but, like, this one was, like, this was amazing moment. My junior year walk-up song for softball, for my college softball team was "Sweatpants" by Childish
Mhm.
Gambino, which is an incredibly cocky song, and that was a questionable choice that I made. But, um, considering I had a really bad season, which is all funny in hindsight. But I love that song. I know every single word to that song, and I didn't know if I'd get to hear it because it's pretty old now. It's not a new song. Every single word. I about had a mental breakdown. I got to hear that live. It was I'm droning now, on and on, but it was an amazing performance. We're at the very beginning of his tour. If he comes near you and you have the opportunity to go see him, go do it. He's he's incredibly talented. Getting to see This Is America live with the choreography from the music
Mhm.
video is a really cool experience. We even had nosebleeds. Like, we were up like, you imagine, like, an NBA stadium, we were in the back of the 300s. We were up there.
Sometimes, sometimes you got to do that though. I mean, my first concert of all the things to do in the world was I went and saw Velvet Revolver, who was a band
Mm,
you probably don't know,
nope.
but you'd know most of the members, all of the members except the singer, were in a band called Guns N' Roses.
Nice.
Which, like, I'm not the biggest Guns N' Roses fan. I enjoy them,
Mhm.
but I'm not the biggest Guns N' Roses fan. I'm not the biggest Velvet Revolver fan. I'm not the biggest Stone Temple Pilot fan, who's who the singer's from. But it was still a really great experience.
Mhm.
And even now, God, 14 years later, I still look back and go, that was awesome.
Yeah.
14? More than that.
So, going to see Childish Gambino knocked off this summer. Hozier, All Time Low, kind of Noah Khan. We'll see.
We'll see.
Uh and Childish Gambino off my list. So then coming up, I have Young Gravy,
Hmm.
Noah Khan, and then I still need to buy tickets, but 21 Pilots.
You see that I sent you a thing about Young Gravy reading Akatar.
Oh, he's been on it. It's so funny that someone started to pay him to read that, and now he just genuinely reads it from enjoyment. What a man. His
What a
country
man.
album, questionable. Everything else, amazing.
Eh,
If you haven't
gotta
listened to his
experiment a little.
country album, it's like half of it is like, damn, this is actually kind of good, and half of it was like, this should have never been made. Love you, man. This is not it. But it's
Happens.
when you've
I
got
was
Zach Brown on 2 songs and Shania Twain on another, I mean, you're making waves somewhere.
yeah. Yeah. I was only gonna bring up one band because I have been listening to one, but you reminded me. If you had nobody here's listened to Avenged Sevenfold, listen to some Avenged Sevenfold. Their self-titled album, which was the last one before their original drummer passed away, is just a gorgeous album. You don't have to love screamo metal music to be like, yeah, this is totally for me. And they're not super screamo by any means. But that was an album where they really kind of tried to let loose and try some different things. And there is actually a country song on there, and it's
Hmm.
awesome. It's really, really well done, and it's not the thing that you would expect,
Right.
especially because their singer is like, he's got a hell of a set of pipes. Speaking of, the thing I was going to talk about was I've been listening to a lot of Marianas Trench lately.
Mm.
Are you familiar with them?
I had my emo phase. I'm familiar. I don't know any of their songs well, I don't think,
Yeah.
but I can hear their sound. I know what their lead singer sounds like. I could pick it out of a crowd.
Which is funny because like it got pointed out to me. It's like, no, they're a pop band. I'm like, yeah, yeah, they are. They've got
It's
like
like
an
pop
alt
punk.
edge, but it's got like an alt edge to it.
Yeah. It's in that
And
weird mix that sometimes like All Time Low peaks into of like what.
or Blink 182
Yeah.
definitely kind of realmed in that circle for a bit
Like,
too.
what is this? Like, it's very much like it can get played on top 40, but it's definitely doesn't belong there. 21 Pilots even had some, like, "Tear in My Heart" is
Yep,
very much like a pop song, but didn't really
but it's
fit the
got some of
vibe
that.
with everything else that was there at that time. So
Yeah,
it runs in that weird realm. Yeah.
and it's not quite towards the edge of pop where you'd go to like Pink,
Right.
which is more like here's pop, but we have electric guitars.
Pop punk and pop rock are very different things. Like, they are not
Yes.
as close as people like, pop is between the 2.
Yeah.
You have to cross through pop to get to the other one, in my
Um.
opinion. I have a lot of big opinions about this as a pop punk fan in my teenage years.
No, no, never leave. I've been listening to My Chem too actually lately. um.
They're not leaving. 5 out of my 8 records on my wall in front of me are either 21 Pilots All Time Low or something of the like. So you
But
never
I
know.
was just gonna say, like, Marianas Trench is one of those bands that I do feel is often underappreciated. Like, man, their lead singer can really sing. Their songs are fun, or some of them just have some wonderful poetry to them. I personally really love the Melodyne, where they do like the crazy auto tuning and have one vocal track, but they split it into like chords and go really crazy with it. So if you haven't gotten the chance, even if you just go on Spotify or Apple Music and listen to like their top 10, like there's
Mhm.
probably something there for everybody.
100% can back that up. All right. Well, we'll close her out because it has been about an hour, even though we joked about this being a short one.
Oops.
Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. We do hope you enjoyed our discussion today. We release these episodes weekly, but if that's not often enough for you, we are often available in the Snowflake Sanctuary Discord server. If you want to offer your own insight, have any ideas for what you want to hear, or just think that we sound like a cool group of people to be around, please click the link. I can't talk anymore. It's too late. Click
Words
the
are hard.
link in the description. Thank you again for everybody listening to us. Thank you to did I lose my nope, Squishy Bear's still here. He made it through the episode. He's hanging out.
Woo.
Thank you to everyone. We hope to see you in the next one. Bye. How bad can Nox butcher the outro? It was a record tonight.
A lot if you forget. There it is.